Today we will be learning about the 2-tab template. This template will be used as a platform for all of your subsequent assignments. To get the 2-tab template, download the 2tabtemplate.zip file from the course website. It is important that it is in .zip format, so if it's automatically unzipping, try changing in your preferences on your browser to make sure that the browser does not automatically unzip the file. First, we're going to open up Google App Inventor at this website. And after we've finished our download of the 2-tab template, we're going to go to Upload Source, and we're going to Browse, and we're going to find the 2-tab template that we just downloaded. And it will appear in this list. And then we'll just click it to open it. And this screen should appear. When creating apps, a common problem is that we run out of space. There's only so much screen space that we have to work with. So how we deal with this is by using tabs. And we have here the app and more info tabs. The tabs will control movement between two virtual screens. Basically, it'll double the amount of space we have to work with. So let's take a look at the components. The first component is the horizontal arrangement of tabs, which has our two buttons in it. Next is the vertical arrangement app, which right now just has a label placeholder, but this is where your app will go once we're using this as a template. And then underneath we have our vertical arrangement info, which just has a link to a Google site which will have your personal information and a little bit about you. So let's see how this works. To do this, we'll need to open the emulator, but first we'll need to open our blocks editor. And we just go to New Emulator. Now once the emulator is open, we'll go to Connect to Device and connect to our emulator. Now that the emulator has loaded the app, we can click on the two buttons and see how they work. So we can see that these switch back and forth between two virtual pages. One more note before we move on to the blocks editor. Here, under vertical arrangement info, we have a web viewer for a Google site, and we can see the home URL here. Right now this is Steve's URL, but when you're making your projects, you're going to put in your own personal Google site in this URL box. Another important note to make is that we can see there's the visible boxes, and right now the web viewer is visible, but the vertical arrangement that it's placed in is invisible. So you can see that the parent is taking precedent over the lower file. So if the higher up parent is invisible, it will make anything in it invisible as well. So now let's move on to our blocks editor. Here we can see our first block, which is the initialize block. So this shows first this pair of two, which is showing that the info will be visible and the app will be invisible on startup. So this means basically that the info page will come up first. Also, there's a title, which is filled by a sample title right now, but when you're using this for your apps, you'll put in your own title. Over here we can see our two buttons, and we can see that these always appear in pairs. So we need one command to turn off the visibility for the info page, and one command to turn on the visibility for the app page when we click the app button. And we need both of them together because we do not want both the app and the info displaying at the same time. We want them to be displaying separately when we click each of the tabs. And we can show that here by manually changing the visibility on one of these such as if we just make this one visible, we can see that it puts both pages' content next to each other. And we don't want that. We want to have separate pages. One more note is that we can minimize and maximize by clicking the black triangle. And this will become a lot more important later on when we have very large and complex apps. So we'll need to save space by minimizing, and then you can drag them next to each other and it looks much better.